life and confidence coach Dianna Leeder, and this is my podcast, the Crave More Life Roadshow. It's here we talk about emotional hits and lovingly kicking our own asses to get through them. Just so you know, it always comes down to being your beautiful, sassy self, living and loving from you, no matter what. So join me to hear about the healing journeys of other women, and you just might become a DIY ass kicker too. Hey, DIY ass kickers, welcome back to the Roadshow. Today continues our podcast interviews with the authors of Find Your Voice, Save Your Life 2, Powerful Women, Real Stories. I'm so jazzed to be talking with three of those authors today about this amazing book and their chapters that will change lives. Michelle Burks Hogan is from New York and has been an educator for 22 years. She develops strategies to help students improve academically, including learning about them and their families. To intervene in her own future and limit negativity in her life, she became a blogger and an author in 2020. Michelle wrote Chapter 6, Talk About It, Enjoy the Relief. Stacy Belinsky is the owner of Serendipity Spot, LLC, and an expert in helping women entrepreneurs experience the magic that unfolds through being in community with others. Participants fill in knowledge gaps, gain friendships, develop new skills, and find stress release related to business and their life. Stacy wrote Chapter 4, Embracing the Unbearable, Reshaping Reactions, and Being Taken Seriously. Pam McDonel is a licensed massage therapist, gifted healing artist, empath, light worker, best-selling author, beach walker, and happy napper. Pam's expertise and mastery lie in the sacred movement of energy. She skillfully guides you in transmuting perplexing emotional and behavioral patterns, embracing your authenticity, connecting with your inner healing wisdom, and honoring your truth. Pam wrote Chapter 12 in our book, Play Small, Stay Safe, The Lie That Stole My Voice. Welcome, everybody. Check out the show notes for how to connect with all of our amazing authors. So welcome to the Roadshow, you guys. I'm so happy that you're here. So excited.
Thank you.
So I'm also really, really excited about this book. I mean, we worked really hard on this book. We did. And you know what? The easiest part was not necessarily the writing of the stories, right? It's challenging to write about yourself. It's challenging to go deep and find those places where you maybe don't want to go. Mm-hmm. But you were three that stepped up to do it along with the other women that did. And yeah, I'm really grateful for that. And I'm very proud to be here with you today.
Yeah.
So
thank you for that opportunity.
Yeah. Oh, heck. More than welcome. More than welcome. My pleasure. So let's get started with why you guys were drawn to be part of this kind of book. Maybe you can tell us the name of your chapter at the same time. So Michelle.
So it's interesting how sometimes you don't even know you have a problem until you get to the other side of something and you start looking back like, wow, I allowed this other thing to happen all these years and I didn't realize it was abnormal. And I think that, one of the main things that I think about is told a story of anything that happened to me as a child that was traumatic. Maybe I fell off of a bike and people laughed. It didn't matter. But the main thing is I wanted people to hear that if anything happens to you that stifles you and shuts you down, you have to push through it and you have to keep fighting and you have to stay positive. And, when you're young and you're inexperienced, you don't know that. So I'm hoping that there's someone that can read that chapter and they're still in that young, inexperienced part, not realizing that there's a better day on the other side or that there is some freedom and relief when you actually speak up for yourself and tell your truth and maybe blast out something that's happening that shouldn't be happening with you or to you or, one of those things. So I'm just hoping to catch someone that's in that immature stage where I was, and I didn't have anyone, no disrespect to my elders, but I didn't have anyone that said, that pulled those things out of me and helped me become me. So I had to claw my way up to the top of the mountain and become me, and slide down and slip back down and all of these things. And I want to catch someone before they slide down, maybe for that last time, and feel like I'm not going to get back up. I'm just going to stay and wallow in this. And I don't want that to happen. So I just chose 2 or 3 things that happened, and it could have been anything that shut me down, to show that's just not the way it's supposed to be.
Right. Right. Wow. I what caught me about what you said was both the sliding down and getting back up and going up the hill. I mean, that's kind of what we do all the time in life. And the other piece was that, you loving your family, you didn't get those messages that you needed. So you had to figure it out for yourself.
Yes.
Which is huge. And I don't think that's something that we all have awareness of.
Right.
Until we have it,
Right.
Yeah. It's yeah, but it's tough. It's that, for me, it's that taking responsibility for yourself and realizing that there, you do have to step up for yourself. You always have to step up for yourself. And that's not always the easiest, or it doesn't feel like the easiest path to take. So thank you for pointing that out. What was your chapter 2, Pam? Sorry, Michelle, can you tell us?
Yes, my chapter was number 6, talk about it, enjoy the relief. And I just feel like if you held things in, and I gave an analogy of molded bread, or some old food that's in the back of the fridge that's smelling, that's just making a mess of things back there. It's runny and blue or whatever, and it contaminates everything around it. And if you don't get things out of you, off of your chest and out of your heart, that's what you're doing to your own life and to everyone around you. And so the relief of it is, when you clean out that fridge and you clean it all out and you wipe it out and you smell the baking soda again, you're like, oh, what a relief. I don't smell that that mess anymore. And that's how I felt when I started doing things to express myself and to get all of the thoughts and ideas in my head, out of me. So
Wow.
that's why I said enjoy the relief.
Yeah, I'm going to love that. I love that. And I'm going to use that, if you don't mind. Every time I think about having to step up, a little bit higher, a little, go a little further, I'm going to say that in my head. Okay, I want to smell the baking soda. I want to smell the baking soda.
I said a line in my chapter that sometimes I was writing and I had to push past the smell of moldy bread. As I was writing and getting it all out, I had to push past it, because at a certain point you're like, that's enough, stop, I can't do this anymore, or whatever it is in your life. And push past that smell of moldy bread and just keep going.
Yeah, what a great analogy. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. Stacy, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what drew you to this project and your chapter, about your chapter.
Yes, thank you. Well, recently, before I knew about this project, probably about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, somewhere in there, I wrote a blog post, and it was on Medium. It still is, and it's been one of the most popular posts I've had, and it's about finding my voice or speaking out loud, when I'm not sure who wants to hear me. So when I heard about this project, and it was all about finding your voice and how it saved your life, I'm like, that just rang true, because that blog post has just been my favorite, and it kind of surprised me, but it's like I've always tried to speak, but kind of like what Michelle was saying, I don't feel like I always have the examples that I need, that I'm looking for, or that when I say something, it really is taken in, and just that it's like, oh yeah, whatever, or people are just speaking above me, like around and above, and it's like, wait, I have something to say too. And I always say that, it's not necessarily that it has to be agreed upon, but just accepted that there's another point of view. So with that experience, I took that idea, because when I wrote that blog post, it was based on a good experience that I had, because I was actually surrounded with people when I was kind of nervous about a group that I was in, would anyone want to hear what I have to say? And like I would kind of mumble on, under my breath. It's like and someone would say, "Speak up, Stacy. I can't hear you." Almost bullying, but still friendly, and and we still have that kind of relationship. The person who said it, but still, like that was a good experience. So when I was writing my chapter, so I wrote chapter number 4, and it's called Embracing the Unbearable, Reshaping Reactions and Being Taken Seriously. So when I was thinking about writing my chapter, I thought about the good experience and reminding myself constantly that I wasn't going to get fired because this was all volunteer. So that there wasn't any repercussion, other than maybe time or, the energy that's being expended, but I wanted to be there. So that part didn't bother me. And, but I wasn't going to get fired. I couldn't lose my job monetarily. So it's like, what were my other experiences? Like what always came up from before that? And then went all the way back. So part of the unbearable part has to do with a teddy bear that I've had for a replacement teddy bear, actually, that I've had for over 50 years. And how that teddy bear, like when I was a toddler, she was doing the talking. And it's like, oh, maybe I can still be like that. And what kind of developed to that point of the good experience, and then like how I keep going.
Wow. That's a really great, I think that's really a great way to connect with what led you to where you are today, for any of us to go back and to think about, some of the symbols, some of the things that were reoccurring, and for you to have connected and put that in your story about a teddy bear, that you've had for that long, that was actually speaking for you because you were not being heard yourself. So I think that that's really powerful, and to use that, in today's version of who you are, to identify what she's doing now, I think is brilliant. Yeah, very, very interesting story for sure. Yeah. So the other thing that you said was about the not being heard, not being listened to, sometimes the conversations going around you. That was kind of what I pictured, around you, as opposed to someone actually engaging in that way with you. I think that's something that is so important for us as women to remember, is that it's not, using our voice is not just about who we are for ourselves. I mean, that's huge, but there's also that piece about honoring someone else's voice as well. We don't have to agree, like you said. We don't have to agree. We don't have to, we don't have to do what it is that someone else wants us to do by any stretch. We need to do what we need to do. But we are, I think, intrinsically respectful people. And I think it's important, not just for the other person, but it's important for us to listen, to really listen, and respond in a way that feels right to us. So it's kind of twofold. That's what your story made me think about, was, the twofold. It's both speaking and it's listening as well. Yeah. Thank you. Great chapter.
I love the analogy with unbearable, that word. And she talked about a teddy bear. I love that.
Yeah.
That
Me too.
That play on words is really good.
Yeah. Excellent. Pam McDonel. Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about what drew you to the project and your chapter, please?
I would. Thank you. And I just first want to say, Michelle, thank you for so explicitly being able to bring us up along with the way that you explained your childhood and how you came to be with this. I mean, you touched all the bases. I was feeling everything as you said that, and I could walk right along with you. So thank you for that. And Stacy, you know, talking about not being heard, man, I don't know how many times I've thought and probably said, am I like talking in some alien voice that nobody knows except me? Because we do have that, or it seems, at least I did. And I just want to find the words that really others can understand and know what it is I'm trying to say. And sometimes I have trouble with that. Never have trouble talking, but I sometimes have trouble, I guess, expressing myself. But like Michelle said, you know, my childhood was a great childhood. I had loving parents. They were strict, but nonetheless, they were loving. I was mistreated. And yet I learned how what I have just in the last few years come to understand is playing small to stay safe. And through that, I didn't speak up for myself. I didn't let my wants and needs be known. I just learned to be a chameleon and move within every single situation or relationship that I was in that kept me safe, that kept the peace. It didn't really matter as long as I was safe and, you know, taken care of, I guess it was all okay. So about 10 years ago now, actually about 9, my third divorce ended. And I was at a place nearing retirement that I was going, okay, now what are you going to do with your life? And I had just come off of, well, my mother had Alzheimer's, and we had taken care of her for about 10 years, the better part of 10 years. And then I had a stretch that I had to do some recouping in my own body, mind, and spirit. And then came the divorce. So, you know, there was just kind of those things, and I've been struggling for a few years. And finally last year, well, actually 2 years ago, I became part of a group called the Wellness Universe. And through that, in 2020, came a book series of that Anna Pereira put together, much like yours, Dianna. And I opted to be in her second book. Oh, that's kind of interesting. I mean, the second book of both series. Okay, I've never thought about that before. All right, so anyway, her second book, I chose to do that about happiness. Had no idea what, I mean, you know, I've never been sad really. But anyway, that led to Laura DeFranco's business group, which is where I met you, Dianna. Mm-hmm. And we connected, and it was one of those, oh my God, haven't we known each other all of our life? And
true, it's true.
And maybe even in lives before, I don't know, but
maybe.
Probably.
Yeah.
And you had just kind of, you know, asked me if I might be interested in writing your book after we had talked for a while. And I thought about that, and I was just like, yeah, let's do it. So that's what kind of brought me around to this. It's peeling back that onion of my life, and finding all of those things for me that are hard to talk about. But I never really share with the world. You know, I have a few close friends that I share things with, but sharing with the world, that's a whole different thing. And so coming to the point of realizing how small I play to stay safe, whatever that means to me, and that would mean different things to different people. But then understanding how through you and a platform that you've laid out for us, by speaking our truth and things that have happened for us, somewhere, someone, even if it's only one person, if they get something out of that and they can turn their life around, or they can come out to the other side, like Michelle said, be on the other side of that and be better for it, that's really what matters. So my chapter, chapter 12, imagine this: playing small, stay safe, the lie that stole my voice. That was my chapter. And in it, I wrote about, one thing that comes to mind is I wrote about the memories and how those memories can have a detrimental effect on us if they're not properly processed and released. We hold them, just like Michelle said, we hold them until they mold and they turn green and blue and yellow and ugly black colors. And that's what happens to our body. We then have illnesses and we have diseases, and we need to find a way to peel back that onion layer by layer and let those things go, let them out, free them, send them back to the light, if you will, and just come out on that other side and live that life that we came here to live. Wonderful and glorious, abundant, all those things.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, love that. Yeah.
That's how I got here.
That's how you got, yes. And I'm very grateful that you did get here.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's awesome. You know what, I think that what's coming up for me now is about the need to just remind everybody that is listening and watching that when we can't use our voices, it's not because we're weak. It's not because we're not bright enough or confident enough. It's because we're human, and we all have different experiences that lead us to go on different paths and connect with different people and have different experiences. And ultimately, I think our human goal is to become completely aligned with ourselves. So using our voice is one way to do that, one way to express who we really know we are. So it's never about being weak. It's about being human, which we all are. So thank you. And that was really clear in all your stories, you guys, all your chapters. Yeah, really awesome.
So, Dianna,
yeah.
if you don't mind me, just commenting to say that.
Please do. Yeah.
There was a song probably written before I was alive, and it was called "Going Up the Rough Side of the Mountain." And I didn't understand this song when I was younger, because I was like, well, why would you do that? Why would you go up the rough side? But when you think about mountain climbing, you can't go up a smooth side because you need something to hold on to. So even though these things are painful, they hurt, they cut, they bruise, they are the very things that pull us to the next level. They are the very the nooks and crannies, crevices, the bulges, all of those things pull us to the next level. And our voices are like the bandages that help us be soothed as we're going up, that mountain. Because if it were smooth, what would you hold on to? If everything were just easy going, no pain, what will we hold on to get to where we're trying to go? So I understand that now. I didn't years ago.
Wow. Okay. So we're going to now dub Michelle, the queen of analogies, because you've had some really good ones this morning. I love them. Oh, they're fantastic. I think because analogies, I mean, they're relatable, right?
Yeah.
I can picture climbing up a mountain, I can picture sliding down.
Yeah. Educator trying to give kids another way to look at it.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. And you know what, I think too, just to kind of go in the tiny direction here for a second, that is a quality of a really good writer too, to be able to, sort that stuff out and create visions in your head. I love it. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about some healing. And instead of just going in any direct order, just jump in, you guys. I am curious, and I'd like you guys to talk a little bit about the healing that you experienced while you were doing the writing. And I think there was a mention of what happens when you put your chapters out there and the book is published. So anything you can share with listeners about what you experienced relative to healing as you did this. Anybody?
I think for me, the first thing that made it real and come to my attention as something that I need to deal with was, earlier on when I put stuff down on paper, and I realized that everything I wrote about was about love and care and at first I didn't realize it, but it was all of what I wanted, what I was hoping I could get more of and have to make me feel more safe and more comfortable and more accepted. And then I said, oh, I'll write a poem about something different. But then it was still about the same thing, about love and emotional things. And that's when I realized you must have something you need to deal with. So I think that was part of the healing, is when you get it out in whichever way you can, if you're writing, singing, talking, or whatever, it brought it to light. Like, now you have to deal with it. Like, look at this. This is a problem. You're seeing it now. It was concrete. It wasn't just my imagination anymore. And so that began a process of me realizing that I had some things I needed to deal with.
Nice. You're right. The healing is an opportunity. It is right in front of you when you start to write, or you sing it, or you say it. And
right.
Yeah, there's no ignoring it.
Right. Right.
And I really have been somewhat surprised by the experience of it, reoccurring to another degree or another layer, as Pam talked about, when the book is out, knowing that everybody now is going to see it. And there's also that expectation that we sometimes carry about, not just what people would think of it, but who will comment to me. Who's going to read it and who's going to say something, and will it be positive, will it be negative? Usually there is no response whatsoever. But yeah, it's all the layers. I love that. Yeah, thanks.
So I have to say, I want to say something about, you don't know what people's going to comment. And I was with a group of friends around Super Bowl time and took my book, and one of them read it, and it was the book on happiness, right? And her response was, oh my God, Pam, this is so sad. I'm just like, no, it's supposed to be about happiness. So, I had to think on that a little bit. And I think what was going on there is, we never know what's going on in somebody else's house, in somebody else's life, unless they share it or we're living it with them. And what can really seem sad to or hopeless or whatever to one person can be seen totally different by somebody else. And so, yeah, how people are going to comment or what your friends and family are going to say, especially when you're in your book, you're like, do I really want to put this on paper?
Yeah.
But I think if I could just continue, be the next one to continue, I think that's, again, like you say, how we heal. We walk through that muck, and, we then get to step into that stream of water, purifying, and it washes away all that muck. And we step out up on the other bank, man, we're clean, we feel good, and everything's kind of okay for the moment. Yeah. And then we walk through the pasture, we walk through the muck again. But
there's the human part.
There's the human part.
Yeah.
But I think for me, what awoke in me even more was how I didn't know to listen to my intuition during all the things and the things that I talked about in my book, in my 2 chapters, and the things that I still think about today that really haven't come out yet, was that still small voice that I knew how powerful and important it was. But like Michelle said, I never had anybody when I was younger to teach me to listen to that. And even when I listened to it, what do I do with it? What do I do with the information? And then the few times I did choose to speak the information that I received, I was shut down. So you learn really quickly to lose that voice, to speak. When you're shushed enough times, you just stay shushed. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it was understanding how important it is to listen to my intuition and to speak that when it is appropriate, and in a kind and gentle and loving way. I really don't know any other way, although sometimes you can push me in the corner and not give me a way out except to come fight me. And I'll be a little bit stronger in my voice, but you know, it's those are few and far between, because I usually am able to kind of process things and get them out in one way or another before that happens. But that has happened a few times, and I hate it when that happens. But you know, hey, if people can't give you enough time to process through what you need to, just because they want an answer right now, and that's another thing. It's okay to say, I need to think about it.
Mm.
I just need to think about it. So,
Yeah, good points. Really good points. I really believe that there are levels to, you know, how we use our voice, and they all have to come back to what works for us. You know, we should never constrict ourselves by, you know, using our voice in a way that we think is okay for someone else if it's not comfortable for us. So that's kind of the first kind of litmus test, you know, does this feel right to me? And sometimes, you know, excuse the expression, but sometimes it's telling somebody to go F, you know, like it's, you know, it is, it's, sometimes you have to do that to make sure that the message is heard. Sometimes it's also ending a relationship with somebody who just doesn't want to hear you. They're not choosing to hear you. So, you know, why would you keep someone like that in your life and feel badly about it? So there are all kinds of levels. And yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, Pam. Yeah, thank you.
But this book, Dianna, is giving us an opportunity to say possibly some negative things, but in a positive way.
yes.
So we're saying things of hurt, of pain that happened to us, but your book is giving us this platform to say it eloquently.
Yes. And I also think, you know, when people don't understand what you're saying in general, like in a regular conversation, it's kind of like that alien translator. I think about that a lot too, Pam. But like in Star Trek, you know how they have the translator so you can understand whatever species they're listening to. I always feel like mine's not working. But when you're writing this book, the only people you're hoping that it lands with are the ones who will understand, like they understand your language because they can, you know, it jives with them. So you know
Exactly.
and that's okay. And then you have a way for them to reach out if they want to connect with you further. But if not, you know, you've still reached them, and you know that intent is out there. Because I don't think you could be in a book like this without having that intent to reach other people anyways.
Right.
I would love that. You know, hey, I would love to hear somebody say, hey, you're speaking my language. I know that alien language.
Right. And if you don't get it,
that.
Right. And if you don't get it, then this is just not for you. If you
Yeah.
don't understand, if you don't understand this language, then we're just not talking to you right now.
It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so we're going to take the whole concept of alien voices with us after today too. I like that. Yeah.
Universal translator. Like, but it's not always universal. It's the problem. It's supposed to be, but it's not.
Well, it's supposed to be, but maybe it's not supposed to be. I often think about that too. I mean, if we are really here to be aligned to ourselves so that we can fully give our, you know, whatever we have, whatever our purpose is, so we can fully share that with the world, you know, we need to make sure that we are aligned, and we just cannot align to everybody. It just is not possible. There will be people on their own path that is very different than ours. Yeah. So part of this, I know, work for me, and certainly in my practice, is to make sure that you know, women are clear about how they can manage who they are first, right? It's not just about, you know, head out for a pedicure because, you know, you need a little bit of self-care. It's bigger than that. That's a part of it, but it's bigger than that. It really is honoring who you are first and recognizing that you can't be everything to everybody.
Right.
So I love that, like let it not be universal. Yeah, be an alien, because you will connect with the other aliens in the room, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
And then it
as
won't
Michelle did.
seem
How
like
did
an
that go?
alien.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But like Stacey is saying with the alien voice, everyone is not ready to tune into that. Is everyone ready for healing? Some people are not at that place where they're saying, you know what, enough is enough. I've had it. I got to get out of this. Some people aren't ready for that, and they're okay with the comfort zone that they're in, and they don't want to experience the bruises of that rough side. They're just like, everything is coming at them too fast, it's too hard. And as women, I think we experience that with marriage and children and job, and all the studies that show that women are working more these days, whereas in our ancestors' time they were housewives and homemakers or things like that. But now we're getting out, we're having careers along with kids and stuff. So some people are not ready for the change, and they don't want to hear that voice. They don't want to understand the interpretation.
Mhm.
like Stacy was saying.
Yeah, maybe that's why they speak over.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I just,
yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say, I wanted to speak to your description of everybody being on a path, because everybody is on a different path. And just like Michelle said, we don't know what that is, and we don't know their time frame. They're on their path to do what it is they're supposed to do. We're on ours. Everybody is on their own path. And it's not our place to force somebody or try to force somebody to do what we think is best for them. What we think is best for them might not be. Just like each of us, we had to walk the path that we walked, doing what we did, dealing with it the way we did, to come to the place where we are today, right now, to be who we are and what we came here to be and do. Yeah. So we have to give each other and everyone else that leniency and that honor to let them walk their own path in their own way, in their own time.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what, I think it's when you consider where we are in our lives, and what we have had to, where we've been challenged by what other people need from us, that leaves us ignoring our own needs. What would that be like for us if we simply let go of what someone else was doing, needing, wanting, demanding, whatever it is, living how they live? What would that do? Like, how much would that free us up if we let that go? It's huge. The potential is huge. So yeah, I agree. We have to, some people have to go a long road before they figure out that they don't like it, or maybe they never do. That's, it's kind of wherever they are. So yeah, I agree, Pam.
I think that's to answer the healing question. I think that's part of what the process of writing did for this chapter, because the same things were always coming up like for years, and a lot of it had to do with when I was a kid, but some of it had to do with more recently when I was married. And I think just writing about it and putting it in a package and hitting send, when I finally got to hit send, and it sent it away too. Like it's in a book, but it's no longer like, I don't feel like it's a part of me. I don't feel attached to it anymore.
Wow. Yeah. I love that. I can see you. I'm really visual anyway, but I can see you just hitting send and have it just fly away. Yeah. And the lightness that would come from that. Yeah. Amazing.
But
amazing.
On the flip side though, what I've found really hard, because I love being in this project, I love the topic, and and I wouldn't trade any of this, but what I found challenging is being able to celebrate. So I think there's a worthiness that I'm still trying to get through. So it's like, we talk about celebration, it's like, well, do I really deserve this? But then it's like, yes, you do. But do I really? Yes, you do.
So how about we just throw that shit, I'll say, right out the window.
Just hit send.
Hit send. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, you are deserving. We are all deserving. Oh my gosh, what is it that Laura says, that our publisher, Laura DeFranco? When you're born, you're worthy. You're worthy because you were born, you know, so you're deserving of goodness and love and all that beautiful stuff. And yeah, so
But what Stacy is saying, and also what you already said, Diana, is sometimes we connect that what we're doing for others to our own personality. And it's like a detachment, because it wasn't until I think I did that I said, you know what, I want to write a book. I want to sing a song. I want to write a song. I want to do all these things. But before, it was always about, well, I want to do that, but I need to go and help this one and give that one a ride and take this one here and there and save my money to contribute to all of these things that were other people's stuff. And the pandemic had me sitting around looking at my four walls saying, what about me? So if we connect our personalities to other people and other things all the time, is that a crutch? Is that a way for us to not have to deal with our own stuff?
Sometimes.
Yeah,
sometimes,
right.
for sure. Yeah.
So I got this visual of Stacy ripping that part of her out and sending it off and saying, okay, I'm free now. I got rid of that extra, baggage. So that's the vision I got when she said she sent it away and sent it off.
Yeah, love it.
And all of this talk around what we're just talking about reminds me of something that I think of a lot, and occasionally I'll say to people, is number one, what you think of me is none of my business. Number two, what I think of you is none of your business. And Stacy, you brought up a third one for me, which is that negative self-talk that we have. You know what? What you think of me is none of my business. It just isn't.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah. Giving that self-talk, the image of that, that inner mean girl, that's what I call her. Give her that image and tell her to, sorry.
Francine, or I think Laura talks about Martha, but I talk about Francine. It's like, no, we're going to do this. So but I have to remember to do it and over, that intellectual override. And
our head gets in the way a lot.
Yeah, it does. And you know what? And that's okay. That's all part of it, right? That's all part of our path. That's all part of our growth. It is. It's our humanness. Yeah, for sure. And we're not going to stop celebrating this book. I gotta tell you, we're, we had our big launch yesterday, which was fantastic. But we're going to have a little celebration for some of the women that were unable to attend yesterday. And we're just going to keep celebrating, because it's as has been said, just one person. This book just needs to touch one person, right? And that is the biggest example of the goodness of what we've put into it, right? Yeah. Okay, so one last question before we have to wrap up, guys. Women, sorry. So,
we can be guys today.
I have to say, so I did a podcast with somebody about, and I'm not even remembering who it is in this moment, but it was all about language. And I realized, guys, that's inappropriate. I don't need to be calling women guys. It's women. It's just women. So there's my little reminder, my humanity. Anyway, what I want to know, and I ask this of everybody on my show, and that is, can you tell me one fun thing about you? Something that you don't share very often would be even more fun. But just one fun thing about you.
Okay, I'll start, and it's probably already obvious from what I said, but I love words. I love words. I believe there's a song for everything. So if you and I were just having a conversation and you would say 2 or 3 words together, and I'd be like, oh, I know a song like that. Oh, I know a song, and I would just start singing it. And I told a friend of mine who I shared an office with for a few years, there's a song for everything, and no matter what, there's a song for every phrase, every word. I love you. I need you. Don't go, baby, please. Whatever you say, there's a song for it. And I love it. And I think of all the songs for everything you would ever say. So if we hung out, like had lunch, you'd probably learn 10 new songs just by being with me.
I love
Oh,
that.
nice.
That's fun. That's really fun. That kind of brings together your love of words and your love of music.
Right,
Yeah,
it does,
I love it.
exactly.
Yeah, I love it. That's perfect. Thank you. Anybody else? You're
You
not
know,
fun.
you asked me this before, and
I have. Pam has been on the podcast before, yes, but yeah, it can't be a struggle. You are a very fun woman.
Right.
I don't know.
I'm getting really positive, a lot of positivity from you, Pam. I can't believe that you don't have a fun thing.
I just don't know what that is.
Okay. That's your goal. That's your goal, Pam. Next time you and I are on the group
Find my
together,
fun thing.
that's your goal.
Yeah.
All right, I'll work on that.
And from having, because Pam and I are in a couple of groups as well, and I have to tell you, every time I'm waiting for her to come into a group, she will come in. Sometimes she's not sitting at her desk yet, but her country tunes are blaring. So I think that's always pretty fun. And, you know, sometimes she doesn't realize that I'm there yet. So it's, it's kind of fun. And there is no shame to being a huge country music fan. So I think that's pretty fun, right?
You know, hey, I born and raised on country music and that and good old rock and roll and good old gospel songs. So if it's one of those three, I'm good. If you put on that long-haired stuff, man, no, you're gonna drive me crazy. So maybe that's my fun fact. I'm just a good old country girl.
There you go.
I like that. I like that.
I do too. Yeah. Excellent. Thanks, Pam. And thanks for going there. Stacy, you're fun too.
You know, I don't know which one to pick, but we were talking about music and songs. It's like I had a whole karaoke era, and I wouldn't say that I'm a good singer, but I love karaoke.
Seriously, what was your favorite song to sing karaoke to?
My go-to is usually something by Pink, like Raise Your Glass. So totally opposite of what Pam's talking about.
Totally.
Although she doesn't have long hair, but it's
Right.
not country.
I will listen if you want to sing a few bars though right now.
Oh, that's on the spot.
No, she's saying no.
On the spot.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. And if we had planned this better, we would have had a little foursome here of Pink or whomever, right? Yeah, little mini song. That's fun. Okay, so the next time you do karaoke, would you please have someone tape it and send it to us?
Oh,
I probably have a previous recording. I don't really go a lot anymore because it's usually at a bar, and although the very last time I went, it was at a music school, so there was actually families there. That was fun. But it's usually at a bar, so I don't like going to bars anymore.
I don't frequent those anymore, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. You guys, you're amazing. That's all your stories, all your chapters were so fantastic. And I don't have, there is not one part of me that doesn't think that someone's going to relate to your stories and they're going to take back, you know, even if it's just one little thing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be huge. You know, they don't have to close the book and say, I'm changing my entire life. You know, if that happens, that's awesome. Yeah. But, you know, even if it's just one little thing, I think I need to speak up about that, you know, that's it. So they're going to find goodness in your chapters. So for that, I thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have contributed something to the betterment of women, to sisterhood, to love and respect and self-alignment in the world, which is really, really big. So thank you. And thank you for being here today. And listeners, thank you so much. I'm glad that you were hanging out with us, and check out the show notes for these beautiful women and their how to find them, a little bit about, I mean, they're practitioners in their own right. So yeah, connect and talk to them about their stories and you know, anything that they can maybe share with you that will help you on your own path. And for listeners as well, I want to say thank you for just coming out today, for the simple fact that just by listening, just by being here, you are kicking your own ass. So thank you so much, and we will see you soon. If you like today's podcast, hit subscribe at the bottom on your way out, and come find me at cravemorelife.com for even more DIY ass kicking.